皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So today, guys, I'd like to talk about another thing that the katana swordsmith that I met through the katana making experience in Kyoto has taught me, and it really helped me to re-recognize the reason why I fell in love with Japanese traditional culture so much, and also at the same time, I felt that it's a little bit sad that it's a side of the Japanese traditional culture that a lot of the actual Japanese people living in Japan today are forgetting and losing. So to make a really long story short, as we were talking with the katana swordsmith of the experience facility, the professional swordsmith, because I knew a lot about katana already, and I probably showed him a lot of interest and excitement, towards the katana and all of his stories. He got really, really, what should I say, excited talking with us, to be honest. Yeah. And he told us a lot of his experiences and what should I say, knowledge about Japanese traditional culture that he usually wouldn't talk about in a regular experience with other guests. He was just talking random things about what he likes about Japanese traditional culture, why he became a swordsmith, and all of these things. And one of the things that he was talking about really was something that I've been forgetting almost for a long time because I don't see it too much in actual Japanese traditional culture anymore. But to make a long story short, what it is that Japanese traditional culture, or the original ways of thinking in Japan, is that we really, really like ambiguous things. Ambiguity is something that we really like. So, for example, take No Theater that I'm training right now. Whenever there's an expression of an environment or a scenery or a person, they tend to kind of not say that this person has long hair and this person is tall and very muscular, that kind of stuff. You try to kind of blur it, basically. I think this is like a technique that could be used in any novel or movie or a song. Not directly explaining what that person looks like or what that environment is like, but trying to use different expressions to let the listener or the reader kind of imagine it. That this kind of aspect of culture exists in a lot of the other not just katana but any form of Japanese traditional culture. And one example he was giving us, for example, is that the room that we were talking about the katana in the first place, the room that he took us to talk about katana, explain it, was a Japanese traditional style room. And on the doors, the sliding doors, there's actually a picture of a very blurry mountain. And also there were some buildings written on the mountainside and everything. And he was using those pictures to explain the characteristics of Japanese traditional culture, saying that, like, if you, for example, take a look at the pictures on my sliding doors over there, if it was in the rainy seasons, you might think that the fog is probably the rainy clouds, and maybe you might imagine that it's a rainy day. But today, for example, if it was a really cold day and there was a lot of clouds and it's really snowing, you might feel that the white fogginess on the mountains, you might be able to see it as snow. Yeah. So when you see something, a lot of Japanese arts and like in this case drawings and such, there's a lot of ambiguity left there for people to kind of imagine themselves of what that scenery is about. And you can see this from the ideas, for example, in tea ceremony too, where we cherish wabi sabi, right? And as I always say, to make a long story short, wabi sabi is about imperfect perfectness, right? So everything is not straightforward. One of the most expensive and most important type of tea bowls are actually completely made by hand. So they're all bumpy and they're crooked, but those are considered to be the most beautiful type of pottery in tea ceremony, because it's something that can never be remade again. It's something that has captured that moment and it will never come back, right? It's just the same as calligraphy. You might feel that the professional Japanese calligraphy senseis, the people who write those characters, of course they could write the kanji characters very beautifully, as if it's printed, but some of the artistic types are really, it looks really sloppy and goes all over the place and messy and everything, but they do that on purpose. so they can kind of express their emotions. And the people who see the really crooked lines and all the the wiggly wiggly corners and everything, people are able to see it and try to imagine basically what the message or the intention of that work is. So from here, though, the question comes to why? Why did Japanese people like ambiguous things so much? Like if I can add another example, Japanese music, for example, doesn't actually have a there. You could set a certain tempo, for example, you could set a certain note and such, but these are really ambiguous too. Until recently in Japanese history, there were absolutely no scores for Japanese traditional music. So everyone just listened to their sensei or their masters playing it, and they just copied it. So it changed throughout history. Yeah. And anyways, just like this, there's a lot of ambiguity in all of our culture. And his question, again, he loves asking us questions. So he asks us another question, asking us, why do you think Japanese people love ambiguity so much? Yeah. Why do you think we just love all of these fuzziness and not unclearness so much? And basically, the answer was so that the culture can change. So that the culture can change. If you leave something ambiguous, the next generations will be able to reflect their values, the new generation's values, onto the art, and they'll be able to change it, right? But the main core, the most important part of the art still exists there. So you'll be able to carry on the good things, but change the outer layers because it's really ambiguous. So originally, because Japanese society had a really strong collectivist bond, relationship, they really cared about the next generation and future generations and how they were spending their lives in Japan. So they really had a strong will to carry on their traditional culture, and that's exactly the reason why we have tons of traditional culture that has centuries and centuries of history even today, right, in Japan. So this characteristic was really important. But including wabi-sabi and this ambiguity and everything, the really sad part about it is that if you think about Japanese society and culture today, it's very sad, but hardly any of it is left, right? Again, I always talk about this, but traditional culture is about, carrying on everything exactly the way it should be. There are a lot of, elderly people who are considered the masters and telling you that, no, that's not the way it should be done. Yeah. Or, of course, a lot of people ask me, like, Shogo, wasn't originally the virtues of tea ceremony, like wabi-sabi, was imperfect perfectness? Why do Japanese society today force everyone to be the same and always try to be perfect, and just, force them to kill themselves almost, in Japanese society, right? There's a lot of people who commit suicide, and that's because of all this peer pressure and everyone keeping each other under surveillance and telling them constantly they have to live a certain way. Like, when did this virtue change, But again, so it's really sad. These most important core teachings and lessons that Japanese traditional culture is supposed to be teaching us today, the generations today, is almost forgotten, and it's all about the techniques and just the skills to do the art. But that's not the most important part. The most important part is the lessons, the meanings, the teachings within it, right? Yeah. But again, the reason is very clear. Japan is becoming an aging society. And because the more a society ages, it becomes more reluctant to change. And because people get old, they want a way to maintain their authority. And the only way to maintain their authority is to not change anything, so they can always be on top of the traditional culture. And also all the ambiguity that originally Japanese culture had, and all the ambiguous good things, just for more people to be able to blend together and work together. Ambiguity was something really important in our culture, but it's, again, all very gone because everyone tries to just keep control of each other, And that's because, again, Japan is a very hierarchical society, The relationships are very hierarchical. So the people on the top always wants to try to keep the people underneath them, under control, they just want to move them around as the way they want to, kind of thing, And because the population of the elderly or the older generations are bigger today, Yeah, there's more people who want to manipulate other people, and there's more and more younger generations that are suffering from it. So talking with the katana swordsmith, I really felt that it's something that I have almost forgotten too. Myself training in traditional culture, I hardly feel it anymore. All of this, the actual good things about traditional culture. So I just really thought again that through my trainings, I want to refine these good things about Japanese traditional culture and try my best to continue teaching them. Because this is the most important part about it, and this is exactly the reason why I was being able to carry on till this day. And it's exactly the reason why it's about to disappear, right? Because we're forgetting the core, most important lessons and teachings of Japanese traditional culture, and we're just, lingering on to all the unneeded, fake fantasy authority that a lot of the elderly are, believe that exists there. Yeah. But it's really time that we need to change things, because Japanese traditional culture was originally meant to be changed. Yeah. Our ancestors basically developed the culture, believing that it will make the next generations more comfortable, more happier if they left things ambiguous. And we've destroyed it. Yeah, so that's something we absolutely need to change. I felt talking with the katana swordsmith, he help me to remember something really important. So yeah, not just the experience itself, but talking with him was a really big impact on me, especially about the things that I've been thinking about recently. So then everyone, as I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know there's a lot of people wanting to come to Japan to travel, study, or work, or even train in traditional culture and such, right? I think I missed something, didn't I? Yeah. But anyways, yeah. To probably study Japanese and everything, yeah. There's a lot of people who have their hopes and dreams in Japan. But I'm really afraid that Japan will not be able to make everyone's dreams come true in the future, because we're facing a lot of social problems. We are, again, yes, losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations who are supposed to be carrying on the good things about Japan are dying because of all the social issues being shoved against them. So I really want to dedicate my life to try to make Japan a better place. I want to try to solve the social problems, preserve and evolve traditional culture, and also help out the younger generations so they can have a brighter future. And to do this, the nearest goal I have right now is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023 on our main channel. So our likes and comments help to boost our videos to new viewers who have never seen our channel before. It'd be great if you can help us out. Yep. Alright, thank you so much, guys. Again, this topic, what I talked about today, is something that's very deeply related to my dream of trying to preserve and evolve traditional culture. And I really thought that it's something that I never want to forget again. That originally, Japanese traditional culture was intended to be changed. Yeah. It's one of the most important things that Japanese traditional culture needs to do is to change. That's something that we should never ever forget, and that's the true intentions of our ancestors, of course. So yeah, it was just a really important lesson for me, and I'm really glad that I'm able to share it with you like this through this podcast. Yep. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.